Today I'm going to introduce you to my 3 personal creations that will burst your game experience to the next level. So, whenever you start a new game, does it feel boring and dull because of the time digging stone with your bare hands? Fear not, I will show you the way to build your first drill only in 4 minutes. Let's begin. In order to open all necessary blocks, the quickest way is to spawn in the space pod. As soon as we grab the computers from the chair, we go outside and start grinding down the hydrogen engine. We will start with building the refinery, which is needed for the drill itself. This process will take a minute or 2 of your time, but in the long run you will greatly benefit from it. So, as soon as we finish building the refinery, we grind it down because we need to build an assembly, which in return will allow us to build timer blocks. Not straight away, but that's one of the steps. And we're almost done here, but before we go, we need to grab ourselves a container which will unlock conveyors. Yep, here we go. Make sure you don't forget the lamp. So, now we disable the survival kit and commit a sin. That's where the game really starts. As an example, we'll start on Earth, but keep in mind this method will work anywhere. So, from the very start, we eject from the seat and start grinding the hydrogen thruster, otherwise it's going to be a hassle to dismantle it later on. Next is the antenna and the detector. Our next step is to empty H2 generator because later on it's going to be disassembled as well. It is very important to create a GPS marker for the station, otherwise your late game is going to be crippled, especially on PvP servers. As soon as we hit the ground, we start grinding down the survival kit. A terrible landing, I might say. In any case, we stick to the plan. Okay, let's return the survival kit. We're still missing some part, that's why we are going back to grind some more. Have to be careful here, otherwise I can clean down the battery or a chair, which will be a disaster. In the end of the day, there's ain't going to be much left of this drop pod, but I do need to keep my stuff somewhere at the moment. And here's the drill, right on schedule. Not even 4 minutes passed. Okay, so now we need to plan ahead a bit and prepare some materials for the upcoming base. All we need at the moment is the assembly and the wind turbine. We still got some work to do to make it completely automatic, so let it run for a while. Okay, next we're going to cut out the battery from the grid. a lot more efficient to cut out the blocks with a rifle. Unfortunately, I don't have enough ammo for all the blocks. That's why I'm going to grind as much as possible. While shooting off armor blocks, I'm trying to be careful and not damage other components. Here it goes. All we need now is to install the missing components, and it's going to be fully automatic. As you can see, I started to panic because I don't want this thing to go too deep. And even worse, I'm running low on hydrogen. So if I fall down, I will lose a lot of time, and this thing will go even deeper, which will be a pain to extract the resources. Originally, this design was developed as a mining missile. Unfortunately, it wasn't very practical. That's why I found another use for it. After setting up the timers, all you have to do is press the button, and it will start producing refined iron until the moment the battery runs out, and trust me, that ain't going to happen anywhere soon. And while doing all the adjustments, I completely forgot I ran out of hydrogen. I didn't switch it on intentionally because this thing struggles to refine and build at the same time. But when it's on, you completely forget about it. So the next step is to find a surface that is as flat as possible to place a foundation for our future base, or should I say a mining rig. You're probably wondering why I placed a large container. Don't worry, I'm not crazy. The main reason behind this is efficiency. To place a single armor block, it requires 7 iron. As for the large container, it requires only 1. And as a filler, it's much larger. Technically, you can fit 27 blocks inside of it. Okay, as soon as the wind turbine and assembly is ready, we're going to move to the next step. But before we do that, I'll highlight the critical mistake you are guilty of. Yes, you. So, the next step is to find and extract cobalt. To do so, you don't need to build yourself a ship or a rover, especially a large grid. That will only delay you at least for an hour. So, whenever there are resources nearby, there's always a mark on the surface of the ground, which can be easily spotted with rifle's zoom. And now, I present you my second creation. I call it the Pocket Scanner. This device consists of an antenna, a scanner, and a battery to power everything up. If there's any resources in the ground, 50 meters is more than enough to spot them. And a second important moment, you don't need a lot of cobalt. A handful of this ore will be more than enough to build a fleet of small grid ships. That's why, don't overdo it. While we were away from the base, our little miner was doing his job. By the time we managed to come back, it refined 1.5k of iron. That's not bad. Not bad at all, considering you were doing something completely different. With all this material, we can now proceed to the second step. So, the next block I built is the battery. Two reasons for that. First, I love batteries. Second, the wind turbine is going to be in the way of my master plan. Speaking of a plan, we are going to build a basic semi-automatic mining rig with as less effort as possible. I choose a normal rotor only because it's a bit cheaper and we don't need to send any resources through it. As I said before, I'm using large cargo containers as a filler, not only because it's a bit cheaper, it's also a bit quicker, because I have to click only once instead of 3, compared to normal blocks. As you can probably see, I've made an elbow facing the uphill. By building this way, I'm making sure that the drills won't stuck midway. So, the main concept of this mining rig is to fit a drill onto the hinge and release all the forces so that the drill will use its own weight to drill the ground. In addition, the hinge is placed on a small container which is surrounded by 4 assemblers and 1 basic refinery. As you can see, I can easily increase the number of drills and increase my production. Although this is a single player mode, most of the time I play on official Space Engineer servers and they have a specific limitation which forbids players from placing more than 5 drills, and I'm sticking up to those rules. In other words, whatever I build is going to be suitable for official servers. I'll leave the drills working for now. Meanwhile, I'll build myself a small ship. So this is what I came up with. A very simple design with 2 atmospheric thrusters facing downwards and 1 in each direction. As I like to say, the more simple it is, the better. So, this ship was made for 2 reasons. First of all, I'm running low on hydrogen, so even if I'll go to mine some ice, I won't be able to return back. And the second reason is for trading with stations. While we are flying, let me tell you another trick. Some newer players think that if the ship stays in the air, it's more than enough and it's pretty much reliable. They might get away with it if they are using atmospheric or ion thrusters. But if we're talking about hydrogen, you'll run out of fuel in no time. And by applying those methods to atmospheric thrusters, you'll greatly increase the battery lifespan. So, let's start with my favorite, the forward slide. By disabling the thruster which is facing forward, you're able to use dampeners to keep your altitude. In the same time, when your crosshair is slightly below the horizon, you're gaining speed. And the second one is the override for the thruster which is facing backwards. Whenever my crosshair is above the horizon, I'm losing speed. And by slightly overriding the thruster, I'm able to keep my momentum. By using this method, you'll greatly preserve your fuel and will be able to fly longer. There are more flying features. If you're interested, let me know. As for the station, I might consider myself very lucky, cause this one is selling ships and rovers. Whenever I need a specific rover or a ship, I can always buy one from the list and refit it to my needs. It's going to be a lot quicker this way. Anyway, that's all I've managed to build within an hour. I really hope you've managed to learn something new today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.